Hey, folks, welcome to the 2022 District 9 High School Basketball Preview Show. Chris Rossetti, Rich Rhodes, Andy Close here, brought to you by Janney Montgomery Scott and Clarion, Burford and Henry Realty, and Home and Specialty Roofing in Oil City, which can be reached at 814-676-8024. Guys, playoffs just around the corner here.
It's been a long season, Chris. We always look forward to this time of year. I know that. Better games usually, less teams to worry about, from our standpoint. But this is the fun time of year, right?
Oh, absolutely. Really looking forward to seeing what gets out, who makes it to the state playoffs. Lots of teams with an opportunity to go to state playoffs. Two that have already qualified without even playing a game, the Brookville and DuBois boys. So, six classifications. Some people debate whether it's good or bad for the sport. Anytime more kids get an opportunity, I say, what the heck, why not?
Yeah, I agree, Andy. There are some areas where you're like, is this really a team that should be here? But at the other, I've been a direct recipient of that in my world, covering a team that might have had that opportunity last year and took advantage of it and went to Hershey.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Like Chris said, anytime you give kids more opportunities, I'm all for it. And I echo your sentiments as well. This is, I think, a favorite time of year for a lot of people, myself included.
Yeah, it just games. There was actually a game tonight. DuBois' girls lost to Hollidaysburg in a district. What was that? 6-8-9 5A semifinal. Really not much to talk about there. I think it was like 69-17, which was a game you kind of figure was going to happen. But the real bulk of it gets started tomorrow, including right here on D9and10sports.com, where we've got Sheffield at Clarion in Class 1A boys. We definitely have a couple games for you on Friday as well. We have the Montauk Punxsutawney semifinal game in 3A, and we'll also have the Red Bank Karn City semifinal game in 3A girls. Those are both from Brookville High School. Might have some more games added as the week goes on for our broadcast schedule. We'll obviously be at some other games that we don't broadcast, but we should have you pretty much covered with all your playoff stuff this week. But before we get into looking at the brackets, let's hear a word from a couple of our sponsors. You're watching the High School Basketball District 9 Preview Show on D9and10sports.com.
One of the biggest risks to your future could be running out of money during a longer than expected retirement. Many people have not yet taken the time to determine if they will have enough assets to last through retirement. Our Retirement Income Evaluator can help you develop a roadmap and actionable recommendations. To learn more, stop by our office located at 162 South 2nd Avenue in Clarion. Give us a call at 223-9990 or visit JaneyClarion.com. Janney Montgomery Scott, LLC, member NYSE, FINRA, and SIPC.
Buying, selling, or building a home, then call Burford and Henry Real Estate today at 814-227-7355. For more than 15 years, Burford and Henry Real Estate Realtors have been ready to help you in your next property search. They are also the #1 agency selling more homes in the region than anyone else. And with their Showcase Homes divisions, their expert consultants can help you with building the home of your dreams. Check out Burford and Henry online at burfordandhenry.com. Burford and Henry Real Estate Services, something different. All right, we're back here. Let's start with Class 1A boys, and we'll bring up the bracket here real quick. Here's our Class 1A boys bracket. As you can see, we've got Elk County Catholic as the top seed, Otto Eldridge is the number 2 seed, DuBois Central Catholics at 3, Cameron County 4, North Clarion 5, Johnsonburg is at 6. Union is 7, Clarion 8, and Sheffield 9. That means that we have one playing game, Sheffield versus Clarion. That winner will play at Elk County Catholic on Friday. All the other games are on Friday. Guys, who do you like in this bracket?
Well, Chris, the seeding methodology here of those top 3 teams was interesting. I'm not surprised that's what they came up with, but by no means does that mean how it's going to finish. Elk County Catholic, DuBois Central Catholic, and the number 3 seed, Otto Eldridge number 2. I think those three teams, are probably going to make it to the semifinals from there. I'm not sure. I think you can't pencil in Elk to win the title. That's for sure. Just out of assumption that they're the best team. I know that.
Well, and obviously, Andy, you got to see them in the AML title game, and it didn't go very well for them against Ridgeway offensively, did it?
Yeah, no, they really struggled. Just 7 points in the second half. And I think to Rich's point, Elk County Catholic by seeding and tradition, certainly deserving, of a top seed. But I'm looking at that 4-5 matchup potentially. Well, first of all, if Clarion beat Sheffield, that's a rematch. Clarion knocked off Elk County Catholic last year, as we remember.
Well, yeah, at Elk. Now that was a different Clarion team with Cal German and
Sure.
and Bo Verdell. This is a much younger Clarion team, but those kids are going to be like, hey, we can go up to Elk and win if they beat Sheffield. Obviously, that's got to be step number one there.
Sure.
The Johnsonburg Du Bois Central game. Here's the thing: I don't see if Clarion would beat Sheffield. I don't see a first round game where if the higher seed won, I would be completely and utterly stunned. Do you guys?
Not at all.
No.
The Johnsonburg Du Bois Central game is very interesting. I mean, this isn't necessarily Johnsonburg of the past, but they showed the ability to beat Ridgeway, who just won the AML title, and they just beat them last Monday. And then, I know Otto Eldred, very talented. I don't know, Rich, if you had a chance to see the scrimmage at Brookville tonight, but was talking to Dave Osborne about it a little bit, and he was very impressed with Otto Eldred. But at the same time, young team, and you never know how a young team's going to react once the lights are really turned on. And Union's got some players: Caden Rainey, Dawson Camper, Peyton Johnston. That's a tough 7-2 matchup. North Clarion with Aiden Hartle in Colin Schmader. Really tough matchup for the 4-seed Cameron County, who has a great player in Hayden Brown. Obviously scored 60 points in a game this year, District 9 record. But none of that would surprise me, I guess, when I look at that bracket.
Well, I mean, you have Elk that knows how to play playoff basketball. You have talent at 4-5. The North Clarion team against Red Bank, Red Bank was just bigger, stronger, faster than them, but North Clarion has some promise. Is this the best version of this roster we're going to see from Otto Eldred? But they're already the 2 seeds. Are they ahead of schedule, or are they just good enough to be in that spot, even at that age, a young team that actually, that definitely has some talent? And Du Bois Central Catholic, and Chris, we haven't mentioned Sirach, one of the better players.
Yeah, Alex Sirach, one of the best players, if not the best player in District 9, leads that team.
Definitely Class A. I mean, so all that leads to a pretty compelling bracket, and 5 of these teams advance. Go figure.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, of those teams that we looked at here, and we'll take another quick look at them. But as these teams that we were looking at, every single one of them, except for the loser of the Clarion and Sheffield game, will have another game no matter what happens in those quarterfinals. They'll all go into the losers of those quarterfinal games will all go into a consolation bracket, with the top team out of the consolation bracket earning the 5th and final playoff spot. So, everybody's guaranteed at least 2 games except for Clarion Sheffield.
Yeah, and that's an interesting – I like the way District 9 is figuring that out. They're taking the 4 quarterfinal losers and putting them in basically a consolation bracket to determine that 5th seed. Andy, Chris and I have talked a lot about it. The follow the leader that the WPIL does to determine some of those seeds, it does not work in this situation. It's not, it wouldn't be the right way to do it. And credit to them that create some more games for these kids to play.
Yeah, no, I agree. That model has, I think, been archaic for years and kind of outdated. But yeah, I mean, that's what a great thing for these kids. If you, to your point, if you are to lose that quarterfinal game, that you still have a chance to kind of fight your way back into the state tournament. That certainly gives them a lot of incentive.
No question. But any predictions on who you think going to win that, guys?
Go first, Andy.
Yeah, you know what? Wow. Okay, I'm gonna go with the dark horse here. I'm gonna go with I don't know, just a gut feel. I'm gonna go with Cameron County.
I'm sticking with the top seed. I think that if nothing else, that AML title game loss is going to stick in their craw a little bit. I like the Crusaders there.
Elk over Du Bois Central in the final.
Yeah, I think that's a good prediction, Rich. I like that prediction. Let's move on. Remind folks, first of all, that today's broadcast here being brought to you by Home and Specialty Roofing in Oil City, Burford and Henry Real Estate in Shippenville, and Janney Montgomery Scott in Clarion. But looking next, let's go to the 1A girls bracket here. We'll bring that one up here on the screen and momentarily. As we scroll down through, here's the 1A girls bracket. That is a large bracket, 11-team bracket. Top seed is Elk County Catholic again. Number 2, North Clarion. Number 3, Otto Eldred. 4, Du Bois Central Catholic. 5, Ridgeway. Number 6 is Union. Number 7 comes in as Coudersport. Number 8 is Northern Potter. Number 9, Smethport. Number 10 is Clarion, and number 11 is Port Allegany. Anything stick out to you on this one?
Well, once again, we should remind everybody that it's also a 5 teams to state. So those quarterfinal winners will advance. As far as the favorite, Chris, I mean, I always liked what I saw from North Clarion early in the year. I saw them play Red Bank in the KSAC championship game, but then when you frame it within this Class A field, I don't know, Elk and North Clarion. I don't know how good Otto is. Du Bois Central Catholic and Ridgeway should be a 4-5 matchup. That's a toss-up. It's an interesting setup, Chris, and I don't know how many teams could actually win this bracket, but I'm guessing it's more than 2, maybe more than 1. I don't know.
I would agree with that. I got a chance to see that Elk County Catholic team in the AML title game. Du Bois Central had them. Du Bois Central was up 15 at the half in that game. Elk County Catholic comes all the way back and wins that. So I think that just, proves your point. I think there are multiple teams. I'm not sure if there is a clear favorite in this bracket. I think there are 3, maybe 4 teams that could win it.
And I think the biggest question at the end of the day, how good is Otto Eldred? I think anybody that you talk to would tell you that the North Tier League was a little bit on the downside this year. And you see that 2-time defending champion Coudersport checks in as a number 7 seed. Otto Eldred in at the 3. They played a decent game against Elk County Catholic a week and a half ago or so. But other than that, you talk to Sean Gray, their head coach, they really haven't been tested. They have a couple of losses outside of district. I think they lost. Hold on a second. I'll pull that up here real quick. I don't want to talk out of turn, but Otto lost obviously to Elk, but they have an early season loss to Portville Central, New York, and those are it. Those are their 2 losses on the season.
Chris, do they have the best player in the bracket?
In Katie Sheeler, probably. Just a junior. She's most likely the best overall player. The real question with the Lady Terrors is, can they get secondary scoring from some people? That'll really be the key to their opportunity to make a run at a district title. I mean, they won the North Tier League title for the first time since the late 70s when girls basketball was still played in the fall. So already a great season for Otto Eldred, but they definitely have higher aspirations than just winning that league title. North Clarion, if you talk to Terry Dryhop coming into the year, he felt he had a district championship caliber team. They definitely need to clean some things up, though, in practice this week. In the KSAC playoffs, they probably turned the ball over a little too much, probably had a little bit too much trouble against the zone defense, settling for some 3-pointers when maybe they should have attacked the basket a little bit more. So they've got some flaws there. Elk's probably the most complete team, but, as Du Bois Central showed you the other day, they're beatable as well. And Du Bois Central probably wants a rematch. They're feeling like they beat them. But, that Ridgeway team is a real dark horse in this bracket. Jason Schreiber in his first year there, the former St. Mary's boys coach, done a really good job. They play that, I don't want to call it slow, but methodical offense, great defense, and can definitely give, teams trouble. And I think that there's an opportunity there for them to possibly even pull an upset of Du Bois Central. And so that's an interesting game. Looking at the first round games, Smethport, Northern Potter, That's probably as close to a toss up possibly as you're going to get. It's Northern Potter. I think the first time they easily handled Smethport, and I'm looking here. See, they split the season series. They each won on their home court. And so that's an interesting game, obviously. And then, Port Allegheny Union, I kind of like Union there. I think Union probably feels that they were better than a 6 seed. But what I'll say is they had an opportunity to play Ridgeway. That game got canceled, and they couldn't find a way to make it up. Neither of those schools. So that would have helped the committee a lot if they had played each other.
And that's and the Damsels have one of the better players in the bracket as well with Dominica Logue. She gets hot. Look out! That's their strength.
The other game that's intriguing there is Clarion at Coudersport tonight, Tuesday, however you're looking at it. Long trip for Clarion, a team that doesn't have a ton of offense. They play really great defense, though, and obviously some athleticism. A lot of those starters for that team won a state championship in volleyball. Obviously, they're not as good in basketball as they are in volleyball, but anytime you've got state championship caliber athletes, they could go up to Coudersport and win. I don't know if it's going to happen. That's a long trip. Cowdy's usually pretty good on its home court. The Lady Falcons led by Liz Frame, but again, that's not that Coudersport team's not as good as the team the last couple of years, but still an interesting matchup. So overall, that bracket as well, I think, is a very interesting bracket. And overall, I think we've lost Andy, Rich.
He'll be back. We can keep talking. We've been doing this a few years.
We'll keep talking as we've lost Andy. There's
I mean, there's a lot. There
Andy, welcome back.
Here. There you are.
Andy, you there for us?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you there for a moment.
Sorry about that.
That's Andy Close rejoining us here. They don't have as good of internet, I guess, in Warren as we got here, Rich. But anyhow, we're talking about the Class A girls bracket, Andy, and where do you guys see that one playing out? Like, do you have a favorite there? We'll just pick them. Andy, who's your favorite there?
I think in the Class A girls, I will go with the top seed, Elk County Catholic. It's tough to predict, though. Again, there are multiple teams that could win this. I just like the depth. I think they're the most well-rounded team in the field.
I also think they're the most physical. They're the ones that probably play the best defense as well. I actually like Elk County Catholic in that one as well.
Well, it's going to be Elk and North Clarion playing for the title. I think that's what we're going to see there. I think. Although, it just that the thing about Otto maybe having the best player in the bracket being the 3 seed, that kind of sticks in my head. So I don't know. I mean, I'm going to lean to Elk. I'm not so sure about without seeing Otto Eldred play, and I've seen North Clarion, play pretty well twice. Play a couple games, 2 or 3 games this year. I got a decent idea what you're getting from North Clarion. I think I agree with you guys on the favorite.
Yeah, I think definitely there. Let's move over to Class 2A. Before we do that, we will step aside for to thank one of our sponsors here.
One of the biggest risks to your future could be running out of money during a longer than expected retirement. Many people have not yet taken the time to determine if they will have enough assets to last through retirement. Our Retirement Income Evaluator can help you develop a roadmap and actionable recommendations. To learn more, stop by our office located at 162 South 2nd Avenue in Clarion. Give us a call at 223-9990 or visit janieclarion.com. Janie Montgomery Scott, LLC, member NYSE, FINRA, and SIPC.
This broadcast also being brought to you by Homan Specialty Roofing in Oil City and Burford and Henry Realty in Shippenville. As we move over to the AA girls, this one will be a pretty quick one to go through, as there's only 2 teams in the bracket here in 2A girls. Here's the bracket to show you, and the 2 teams are Clarion Limestone as the 2, Brockway as the 1. Both of those teams have also qualified already for the state tournament.
How many teams outside of those two could have been in the bracket. I was wondering about that. I know was there at least two others. It's interesting that two teams get to go to states here in this bracket.
Also available in Double A if they had chosen to go out of District 9, the Kane girls, the Keystone girls, who were the defending champs, Cranberry and Kerwinsville. Just a year.
So as many as 6, and it's really a big transition year in this classification, Chris. Now, obviously, the cycles will change and maybe things will shake up next year, but this was a very down year for 2A, and we're left with two teams that were supposed to play during the season but did not. Brockway beat CL last year in the semifinals before Brockway lost to Keystone. But yeah, I mean this Brockway team's been led by a trio of players: Selena Buttery, Danielle Wood, Sierra Morelli. They've been fairly solid with those three leading the way. And Clarion Limestone didn't finish the season real strong, started off real hot. Question is, what kind of team are we going to see when these two teams square off for the title?
Yeah, when I look at this bracket, Danielle Wood, easily the best player probably of the group. Selena Buttery, obviously going to Division II Chaminade for Brockway. It really comes down to what does Sierra Morelli, what does Madeline Schmader give them, and some of their role players. For CL, it starts with Frances Milliron, but also Kendall Dunn. Really, to me, it's their guards. It's Lexi Cool, Alex Ledbetter are the real keys there. So, it'll be interesting. Brockway, in its 50th year of girls basketball, has never won a district title. Came close last year, fell to Keystone. That's something that they're pushing for, and they know that they're going to be in a rebuild after this year too. So this is their maybe best opportunity in the near future to get this done.
Yeah, I just think this Brockway group, I think they were motivated by last year's loss. They kind of circled this year as their year. I just think they have great leaders, and I just think they're built for this moment.
Is that your pick, Andy?
They are my pick.
Rich?
Yeah, Lady Rovers.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Brockway as well there. So we're all in agreement there. Now we move over to the 2A boys bracket, and this one a little bigger of a bracket. 7 teams are coming our way in 2A boys. The top seed, the Red Bank Valley Bulldogs, the KSAC champions. The number 2 seed, Ridgeway. Number 3, Karn City. 4, Clarion Limestone. 5, Keystone. 6, Coudersport. The 5-4 matchup, Keystone CL. They played, I think, 4 or 5 times in the last couple of years, and I think every one of them has been decided by like 6 points or less. CL's beaten Keystone twice this year in close games. That's a real intriguing game on Wednesday night over in Strattonville.
Yeah, I mean that I guess you'd call it a toss-up. I'd say the Lions are happy they're at home, but I don't know if that home court really matters in this matchup, Chris. I mean, it's been close. Yeah, I mean, it could go either way.
The other intriguing one, a game that Andy broadcast last year, is a rematch of last year's championship game between Coudersport and Karn City. Now, those two teams are completely different. Chase Bailey gone. His brother Tate has kind of taken a leadership role along with Luke Kramer, who was on last year's team, Micah Rupp, who was also on last year's team. All 3 of those guys. Coudersport no longer has a lot of the players that played in that game last year. They're led by Christian Furman. They're a team that has done well in a league that's okay, but not fantastic this year in the NTL again. But an intriguing matchup nevertheless, because it is a rematch. But man, that is a trip and a half from Coudersport to Karn City.
Yeah, one of the longest trips in District 9. But to your point, both of these teams, again, even though they're very different, they're championship caliber programs. They have that championship pedigree. And, again, I'm looking forward to that matchup. Luke Kramer, one of my favorite players in District 9. I look for – you talk about, potential impact players in this field. I think he's one of them.
And then the Smethport Ridgeway matchup, interesting only in the fact that Smethport has a kid in Alec Ogden who is showing an ability to score in bunches. We know what Ridgeway is going to bring to you, and they have one of the better athletes, if not the best pure athlete in this bracket in Dom Allegretto, another great player in Dan Park, a team that's used to winning a lot. They've just won the AML title. Really like Ridgeway in that matchup.
Yeah. Red Bank as the top seed waiting for the Keystone CL winner, as the top seed should get. They got it. They got a nice setup there to get to the final. This group, this Bulldogs team, Chris, just plowed their way through the KSAC. So they're getting to play another KSAC team in the semifinals. That's a good draw for them. Not automatic, but I think the Bulldogs are going to be playing somebody in the finals. And, boy, Ridgeway's win over Elk, as convincing as that was. That's a proud and confident program to get that win going into the playoffs. Yeah, Karn City, most likely the team that Ridgeway would play if both get to the semis. Man, that just made this bracket. I think it made it more interesting. I'm, not saying we were doubting Ridgeway's ability to do anything this year anyway, but the convincing win over Elk, wow, that makes this bracket. It was already interesting, guys.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to see that game the other night, and I've never seen, I'll use Aaron Straub's term, an Elk County Catholic team that disjointed offensively, and that's really a credit to Ridgeway, man. We know their history with defense under Tony Allegretto, but that's as good a defensive effort as I've maybe ever seen against an Elk County Catholic team.
And 3 teams go to the state playoffs here. So, Red Bank already guaranteed at least 2 games. The Bulldogs, man, they are loaded. They're loaded with guys that got them to the state championship game in football, who arguably sometimes some might argue they're better sports basketball in some ways. And, Chris Marshall plays above the rim. There aren't many guys in District 9 that play above the rim. Chris Marshall can play above the rim. Marquise Gardlock can also get way up there. And then we saw Bryson Bainrich on Saturday in the KSAC championship game, just deadly from outside. Those 3 make it really tough. And then you add the Klaus twins, Mason and Owen. And that is going to be a tough out. And that's a team that I think legitimately can look at itself and go, how can we win a couple of games in the state tournament? I don't think you're going to see a repeat of football where they go to the state championship game, not with Our Lady of Sacred Heart waiting out there from the WPIL, but still a team that I think can make it to, say, the Elite Eight, like the 2015 team that was partially led by assistant coach Jake Doherty did.
Oh, absolutely, Chris. The confidence. And remember, this Red Bank team hasn't lost since December. They've won 16 straight games, all against KSAC teams. This is different. They're going to have to win a district title. They're going to have to beat somebody, well, maybe not a KSAC team. And obviously I'm alluding to Ridgeway. I think that matchup is the one I've wanted to see all year. It's a contrast of styles, and it's a matter of who can show up in the playoffs, play their style, and win that basketball game. Boy, it's going to be very, very interesting. Those 2 teams met last year in the playoffs. Ridgeway beat them down at Red Bank, coming back from a deficit. This Red Bank team this group has not won a playoff game yet. Ridgeway's program, Allegretto and Dan Park have. How much do you read into that versus just raw ability? I really like the athleticism and the ability of that Red Bank team, and I am very respectful of what Ridgeway's done as a program, winning big games. I don't know how you sort that out. It's just a compelling game if that happens, because Karn City. I don't want to sell Karn City short in a playoff setup where anything can happen there as well.
No, but I think so many people, you kind of look at that as if the bracket plays out according to seed, we would get that matchup. And obviously that doesn't always happen, but man, that's fascinating, isn't it? Just, both teams that just get it done in different ways. And it's your classic, to your point, Rich, your classic contrast in styles. And, there's a number of matchups I'd like to see, but maybe none more so than that one.
Okay, Andy, who's your prediction?
I'm going to go Ridgeway. Champion again, you talk about championship pedigree. They have it. I think they're motivated. I think that's a potential fascinating championship matchup. And that is my prediction for the finals, Red Bank Ridgeway. I think Ridgeway wins a tight game in the final over Red Bank.
Yeah, I'm actually leaning that way too. Until Red Bank shows that it can beat Ridgeway, Ridgeway to me is the team to beat in that. Hey, Red Bank, if you want to use me as that motivation, Andy, as that motivation to go out and win, go ahead and do it. But last year on your home court, you lost to Ridgeway at a neutral court. I would still favor Ridgeway at this point.
And you know what? I'll throw it out there as well. All due respect to both programs, I've just seen this Ridgeway team win a lot of big basketball games just on your basic fundamental basketball. Not that Red Bank doesn't play fundamental basketball. They play a physical, well orchestrated offense, and just let's throw that out there. Red Bank's got to knock off the team that's used to winning, that has been winning at this level for a long time.
And make no mistake, I would not be surprised at all if Red Bank does. But you put a gun to my head right now, and ask me who's going to win. I like Ridgeway, especially after what I just saw in the AML title game. Hey, we'll be back to look at 3A, 4A, and do boys in 5A after this message. Buying, selling, or building a home? Then call Burford and Henry Real Estate today at 814-227-7355. For more than 15 years, Burford and Henry Real Estate Realtors have been ready to help you in your next property search. They are also the #1 agency selling more homes in the region than anyone else. And with their Showcase Homes divisions, their expert consultants can help you with building the home of your dreams. Check out Burford and Henry online at burfordandhenry.com. Burford and Henry Real Estate Services, something different. Today's broadcast also being brought to you by Jenny Montgomery Scott in Clarion, as well as Home and Specialty Roofing in Oil City. To get a hold of Home and Specialty Roofing, call Skip Homan at 814-676-8024. Special thanks to those sponsors for making us be able to bring you this show, which will also be archived on d9and10sports.com. We realize late at night, we're thankful for the 15, 20 viewers that are showing up tonight at this hour to watch us, more than I think we thought. But tomorrow, it'll also be, I'm going to guess, a lot more people looking at this on Tuesday as opposed to late Monday night. Let's take a look at our 3A boys. There's really not a bracket to show you. Is Brookville the only team in? They will advance all the way to a sub-regional championship game where they will play either Chestnut Ridge or a team out of the Pittsburgh City League. There's a couple of options there, possibly. I haven't heard anything, Rich, if either of these two teams are even getting in. That would be Perry or Westinghouse. Have you heard anything on that?
I have heard nothing on that side. I do see where Chestnut Ridge is playing North Star Wednesday night. That's the District 5 part of it. Chestnut Ridge is the familiar team that we've heard from this time of year in basketball. This would be the fourth year that Brookville may end up playing a D5 team.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm looking at North Star here, they're 8-14 on the year, so I would think that Chestnut Ridge is the heavy favorite in that game.
And they have not played those. Those two teams have not met this year, which is interesting.
Well, not only that, North Star enters the playoffs having lost 5 in a row.
Yeah, so if that's
6,
accurate,
7 of 8.
Yeah, if that's accurate, the winner is going to advance to at least play a District 8 team, I guess. We have sketchy information, I guess. Admittedly, we don't know exactly what the D8 City League, Pittsburgh City League is up to.
Looking at Brookville there, obviously the runners up in the PIAA last year, obviously no Jace Minor this year. Still only the 2 losses, one to Du Bois, one to Vision Academy out of Brooklyn, New York, who would have beaten every single team in District 9 as bad, if not worse, than they beat Brookville. The Raiders, though, I use the word workmanlike. They don't have that one stud like they did last year, Rich, but they've got a bunch of guys that play tough defense, bunch of guys that know how to get in position to score.
That really sums it up. I don't know how much more to add on that. And then add a year of confidence. I mean, the expectations, obviously they knew Jace was a huge leader last year, but I'm pretty sure they went into this year saying, "Hey, let's go at it again." They had a good off season, probably the best off season that the program has ever had because of it. What that translates into starts now. I mean, they won the D9 league, which was a big deal for the program. And that's against Elk and Du Bois and the good teams that are in that league year in and year out. And now they get to probably play Chestnut Ridge, a team that you and I were there last year. That was a fantastic game, and they have enough back to where the winner of that that won't be easy. And the winner, I guess the sub-region champion will play the Whitfield 3 seed, and then the loser will play the Whitfield 5. Not looking too far ahead, but I would say
do you have that backwards, Rich? Would it be the other way around?
The champion play 5, the runner-up plays 3. Yeah.
That makes a little bit more. I was like, wow, I'd almost rather be the runner-up if that was the case.
and shock surprise, Elwood City's the top seed in the WPIL, and they're just getting started this week as well. So that'll sort itself out. The Raiders will, we'll be able to see how that all plays out. But one game at a time. The Raiders have it looks like they'll have a game against Chestnut Ridge at the very least, maybe the City League in there as well. But I'd say they want to win a state game or two at the very least, or they'll be very disappointed.
Well, as you look at how that bracket shapes out, the 5 seed right now is South Allegheny. Right. No guarantee that they're the 5 though, because again they play the follow the leader. So
that's not yeah.
So say Elwood City would actually hold. If Elwood City would hold, in the brackets would hold, they could end up playing either Neshannock or Brownsville, who would come out as the possible. Well, no, the 5 seed would be who Elwood beaten. So you're looking at Ligonier Valley or Avonworth possibly if Elwood wins. Aliquippa is the number 2 seed in that tournament. The number 3 seed goes to Shadyside Academy. So. That's an interesting Whitfield bracket as well, but I'll move on to the AAA AAA girls. Taking a look here, we'll bring the bracket up real quick on AAA girls. But the top seed is a team that's won a lot of championships. Not many in AAA because they were 4A for the longest time, but the Punxsutawney Lady Chucks. Come in as the top seed. Red Bank Valley, the KSAC champions, are your number 2 seed. And number 3 is Karn City. Number 4 is Montauk. Rematch of last year's championship game, Montauk Punxsutawney. Karn City and Red Bank, they played twice this year. Neither of those games were really, at the end of the day, I don't think very competitive. Let's see if I can find the scores real quick.
Yeah, I was going to look at that, Chris. Yeah,
53-27 at Karn City, and 52-45 the first game at Red Bank. So first game a lot more competitive than the second game, but at the same time, I think Red Bank's gotten stronger as the year gone on as well there. That's an interesting bracket that you could argue that by the end of the season, the second seed was playing better than the first seed.
I cover Red Bank Valley more with my work with the Leader Vindicator. I don't know how many teams you've done the stats, Chris. How many girls teams in District 9 have had 3 girls on the same roster score 20 points in a game this year?
Not many, if any, to be honest with you.
I can't see you, Chris.
And not only that, I mean, Red Bank's one of the few teams, if not the only team, to have 3 players scoring in double digits on the season.
Which would reflect that, yes.
Miley Harmon, 12.8 as a freshman, and Olivia Huffman, 13. Madison Forninger, 11. Kaylin Rear comes in at 8.7. That's a team that can score. I mean, they're averaging 56.8 points a game. That tells you that's a team that can score some points. Again, I like probably at the end of the day, I like Punxsy to beat Montauk. Although, again, the way the Lady Chucks have been playing, they did get healthy against Brookville and Bradford, 2 of the weaker teams in the D9 league. But prior to those 2 wins, they were struggling a little bit. The Lady Chucks were down the stretch. They had lost 3 of 5 games going into those last 2 games. Granted, to good teams. They had a loss to United, a loss to Homer Center, and a loss to Elk County Catholic. But definitely they were struggling a little bit. Montauk, a young team. Abby Jewett, Catherine Kelly have some players that can really go out and get the ball, and that would be something to look at. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
It's going to be Punxsy Red Bank in the final. The question is, Can Red Bank close that gap that was left going into this year from last year? And I think it will be a closer game, Chris.
Well, they didn't end up playing last year because Red Bank was knocked off by Punks.
Well, you're right. Yeah. Well, they played during the season.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Not by Punks. They were knocked off by Monmouth. Definitely different Punxsutawney team too. They lost a lot from last year. Red Bank pretty much the same team that they had a year ago, plus Miley Harmon, which I think has been a big addition for them.
Yeah, that's going to be a closer matchup than what we saw. Now, they played early last year in the schedule, and then obviously did not see each other in the playoffs. Punxsutawney team is, and Red Bank too, but Punxsutawney is just your fundamentally strong defensive team that, they're gonna. The question there is, if they're hitting from the outside, they're going to be tough to beat. They're a perimeter, they're a jump shooting team. A lot of their game is predicated on 3-point shooting. Red Bank, as we saw, can go inside, can hit some out. They're very aggressive offensively. So if somebody gets hot or is let to be, get hot by the other defense, look out. I really think that's another compelling game that we may see. I think that we will see.
Andy, your prediction on that game?
I like Punxsy. I think Red Bank Valley can beat them if that is indeed the final, which I think it will be. But I keep going back to championship pedigree, and until someone knocks them off, I mean, they know how to win. They've been in these big games, even if it's a different group. It's been, this has been passed down for a while now in that program. I like Punxsy close in a tight game.
Rich, go ahead and make your prediction on this one.
I'm going to go Red Bank girls. I think it's going to be a close game. And again, tough pick. I went against the Red Bank Valley boys. I'm going to go Red Bank Valley girls here in a very good game. I think it could go either way.
They have one common opponent, Homer Center. Red Bank lost by 19 at home to Homer Center. Punxsutawney went down to Homer Center and lost by 15. Boy, that's tough. I don't
think you can really glean too much from that.
No, I don't think you can glean much from that. If to me, the real key is Red Bank staying out of foul trouble. I think that if they stay out of foul trouble, Olivia Huffman, Madison Forninger inside, Kaylin Rearick, and Miley Harmon at the guard positions, they just have a little too much for Punxsy this year. Going to go in a close game, maybe even an overtime contest. Red Bank for the victory.
That's even hedging more, man.
So moving over to the boys 4A now. As we look here, it is a 3-team bracket. You have Clearfield as the 1. They've won, I think, 6 or 7 in a row. 7, I think, in a row. Champions in District 9. Punxsutawney's 2, Bradford's 3.
I haven't seen Clearfield. I've seen Punxsy and Bradford. Clearfield still has one of the best players in the district with Cole Miller, and naturally they're the number 1 seed. There have been better Clearfield teams recently, but they are definitely the best team of these 3. And if they don't win it, I'll be surprised.
Andy?
Yeah, I would be surprised too. I mean, I think they're clearly the best of these 3 teams. I like the way Bradford plays defense, but I like Clearfield as well.
Yeah, I think Clearfield's the champion here. Cole Miller, 1,000-point scorer. They play in a tougher league. Not that obviously Bradford and Punxsy coming out of the D9 league playing a good league too, but Bradford, John Bernardi's done a great job in his first year there. Cam Austin, Jake Franz, a couple players that can go and score the basketball at times. They also have trouble sometimes scoring the basketball. It's really weird. Sometimes they don't have any trouble. Sometimes they have a lot of trouble, like against Punxsy last week when they didn't even reach, I think they reached 20 points. Punxsutawney under Jake Perrin, second-year head coach, playing tough basketball at times. Gabe Kringerski, a pretty good player. Donnie Neese really helped lead that team. But I think at the end of the day, Clearfield reigns again in District 9 at least.
That's unanimous.
So that is your 4A boys. That leaves us now with our 4A girls as we bring up the 4A girls bracket. This is a 2-team bracket. So I look for it here. Here we go. The 4A girls bracket, Clearfield and St. Mary's. St. Mary's under new direction this year. And in fact, both of these teams have new coaches this year.
Right.
Michael Franciscus coaching at St. Mary's, Missy Helsel at Clearfield. I think between the two of them, I'm less surprised at what St. Mary's has done this year. Maybe a little bit more surprised at what Clearfield's done. I think Missy Helsel has done a really good job in her first year over at Clearfield.
Yeah, I knew that these two teams played each other, and I couldn't remember how that went. St. Mary's did win by 12 at home on January 21st. I saw Clearfield real early. Saw a little bit of St. Mary's against Brookville in their matchups. As the score bears itself out, I think St. Mary's is probably a 10-point favorite or somewhere right in there on a neutral court. Chris. Nothing fancy for either one of these teams. They're very they're similar teams as far as that goes. But I agree with you. I think Clearfield had a better season coming in than maybe I was expecting. And St. Mary's was fairly similar to what we figured would happen here. But I'd say the nod going into this 2-team bracket would be with the top seed, St. Mary's.
Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that assessment. I think St. Mary's is a 10 to 12 point favorite on neutral court, and Clearfield probably, to your point, Chris, probably had a better season than people thought, and credit to them for that. But yeah, I like St. Mary's here.
In 5A boys, Du Bois already in the state playoffs. They're going to play a sub-regional championship game against the winner of the District 10 championship game, Andy, and then there's a District 8 team involved as well. Talk a little bit about District 10 there and what people can expect out of that.
Yeah, so that'll be Cathedral Prep and General McLean. And, Cathedral Prep, of course, made that I don't want to call it a Cinderella run to the state title last year, but I don't think a lot of people expected them to make it out of District 10 last year. They lost to Meadville twice during the regular season, came back and beat them in the D10 title game. But if you remember correctly, those two teams matched up last year, Prep and Du Bois. I think it was either a 10 or 12 point game in favor.
It was a
of
13-point game at Du Bois, and it was a game that I think was 4 or 5 points going to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so I mean, that'll be a fun matchup if they match up again, which I think they have a good chance to.
Both teams very well coached. Steve Petrowski am I pronouncing that right, Andy? Mm-hmm. Steve Petrowski at Gannon. He played at Gannon. Coaches at Cathedral Prep. Dave Bennett at Du Bois. One thing that's impressed me every time I've watched Du Bois defensively, and this just goes to how well coached they are. The way they change defenses, like sometimes in the middle of possessions, is really college level stuff.
Well, I agree, Chris. Du Bois' defense might have been a bigger. Well, they've been always playing good defense. I guess this year's team is slightly different than last year's, but that defense has given them some opportunities to win a lot of games. I mean, they obviously were right in there battling with Brookville and Elk County Catholic for the D9 League title. Looking back to last year and seeing Cathedral Prep win that title and realizing Du Bois was scrapping with them late in that game. That was a feather in the cap for Coach Bennett's Beavers. And looking back, I don't know if this year's matchup is a tougher one for the Beavers. Would you say that, guys, considering what everybody has back and doesn't have back? No,
I actually think last year's matchup was tougher. I think that Cathedral Prep team, especially with Khalil Horton, who now is at a prep school down in Tennessee playing some really difficult competition, has already probably put himself into mid-major level type recruiting and really could explode over the summer into where I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him at a big-time school by the time he graduates next year. I think that between him and Liam Gala, that prep team last year was better than this year's prep team. I think Du Bois' team last year was a little bit better too with Lennon Lindholm. I think one of the things that hurts Du Bois is I like Ryan Kavalyak as a player. I think he's a two-guard masquerading as a point guard sometimes.
Yeah, I think they were stronger at guard a year ago. I guess that's what you're saying, Chris, and essential. But like you said, Prep isn't probably not as strong. So that could be an interesting matchup.
Andy, I'm not talking out of turn. If Khalil Horton had stayed at Prep, they would have been a threat to win a state title again this year, wouldn't they have?
Oh, absolutely. And again, this is still a very well coached team. These two teams are very similar. Prep very defensive oriented. They really spread out the scoring. There's no one guy that is really a go-to guy for them. But yeah, if Horton's back, they're certainly a state title contender. Of course, they'll tell you, they have that confidence coming off that run last year. They think they can make a run again.
Yeah, a lot like Brookville. I mean, you could definitely
a lot like Brookville. Yeah.
One of our comments here, John Swanson's like, Bennett, best dressed coach in District 9. Thinking about talking to Lisa Levan, the Warren girls coach, a couple weeks ago, right before I was doing a DuBois game, and she said the same thing. I
don't know who second is.
Oh, geez.
I'm not saying that we have a bunch of slobs out there. We're just giving Bennett some credit. There's no question. No doubt.
Whoever his clothing dresser is in DuBois we should probably get them on board as a sponsor.
Is Coach Allegretto Tony number 2?
Allegretto's up there. Aaron Straub.
He's definitely up there.
Coach Straub.
Yeah, Coach Straub is still up there.
And when we say best dressed, we're saying the most formal, sharp-looking guy. You notice there's a trend where the coaches are dressing down a little bit more, even at the higher levels, NBA. I don't know about college.
Absolutely.
They're dressing down more. So to stay in that Sunday finest, Coach Bennett stayed there along with some other guys. But yeah, that's a little side note. We'll probably get some nominations if the more bigger deal we make out of this, we'll probably get some nominations out there.
We should have a contest on the site. Maybe give away an Allegheny Grill gift certificate to best dressed coach in District 9.
There you go. There you go.
Plug there for the Allegheny Grill. Hey guys, thanks for joining tonight. I know it was a little bit of a late night, a little bit of a last second thing too, but special thanks again to our sponsors, Home and Specialty Roofing in Oil City, Janney Montgomery Scott in Clarion, in Burford, and Henry Realty in Shippenville. Make sure to check them out. If you see any of those folks around town, thank them for helping to bring you our great playoff basketball coverage on D9and10sports.com. Hey guys, been fun. We'll stick around, maybe have a little post game brief here, but this will do it for our broadcast tonight, and we appreciate everybody for joining us.
And by the way, it's either me or Rossetti with the best background. Andy, looks like you got locked in your bedroom for being a bad boy or something.